I'm Valentina Troop, and I'm presenting on qualitative research. Qualitative research is the development of concepts that help us to understand a social phenomena in natural settings rather than in experimental settings. We use qualitative research to study social processes over time and when studying topics for which attitudes and behaviors can be best understood in natural settings. Rather than simply produce data, such as with quantitative research, qualitative research methods emphasize meaning, experiences, and views of the participants. In other words, we use it when we want to dig deep. For instance, in my single subject design, I use an adolescent participant to study the effects of sleep on mood. The target behavior in my study is to increase the participant's mood by using sleep as the intervention. During the intervention phase, the participant will be going to bed 2 hours earlier than his previous scheduled bedtime. If I wanted to go more in depth, I would utilize qualitative methods by gaining a better understanding of the interaction and experience of the participant, such as inquiring about teenage angst or their need to create and maintain their own self-identity. There are different approaches to qualitative research. Rubin and Babby discuss common paradigms. There's naturalism, which consists of observing people in their everyday study and reporting their stories as they tell them. An example would be going into a local community or neighborhood. Grounded theory is connected with inductive approach and looks for patterns or themes in an effort to discover the unexpected. Participatory action research, in which the researcher's function is to serve as a resource to those being studied, and case studies. It has an exclusive focus on a particular case. In keeping with my single subject design, a case study could be examining why the school district decided to make the school start times earlier for adolescents. A technique for conducting qualitative research is qualitative interviewing. It's an interaction between the interviewer and respondent in which the interviewer has a general plan of inquiry but not a specific set of questions that must be asked in a particular words or in a particular order. In this technique, the respondent does much of the talking. All qualitative interviewing consists of open-ended questions. 3 forms of interviewing are informal conversational, which is an unplanned and unanticipated interaction between an interviewer and respondent that occurs naturally. Interview guide approach, which is planned in advance and more structured, and standardized open-ended interviews, which is highly structured and consists of questions that are written out in advance exactly the way they are to be asked in the interview. As with other research designs, qualitative research has its strengths and weaknesses. It is a powerful technique for gaining insight into the nature of human affairs. It's flexible and allows the researcher to modify the research design at any time, and it's also relatively inexpensive. However, it seldom yields precise statistical statements about a large population, and although it allows for depth, it can also include personal descriptive measurements based on the researcher's reports, which means it makes the findings more challenging to generalize. This concludes my presentation on qualitative research.